Okay, 2016, number 3. This one happens to deal with Camden's Cakery. It's one of many dessert cake cafes serving a local community. Each cafe produces a slightly differentiated product. One cafe might serve like fancy croissants, one cafe might serve danishes, but they're all serving these kind of treats, right? One might serve bagels, one might serve donuts, but they're all these kind of like bakery treats. Okay, so it's not telling, there are no barriers to entry or exit, and the firm is in long run equilibrium. So they're not telling you it's a monopolistically competitive marketplace, but they're describing it for you. Okay, so you need to know the characteristics of the marketplaces. So it says draw a correctly labeled graph showing Camden's demand curve, marginal revenue curve, marginal cost curve, and long run average total cost curve. Label Camden's profit maximizing output as QM and QP. All right, so in starting this, we want to make sure that we'll start over here and draw this large enough so that we can fit everything on here. All right, we have the demand curve, which goes above the marginal revenue curve. All right, we're going to have this marginal cost curve flowing like that. And when they're telling us that the firm is operating at a long run, all right, equilibrium, all right, so it's in long run equilibrium. And before we draw the average total cost curve, we want to make sure that you guys understand what this is, right? That's the quantity that's being produced, and you always want to make sure that you have that there, that you recognize that first, so you know exactly where we're going with this right here. And I think they want us to label this QM, and then price. Okay, now with our ATC, let's draw it pronounced here. Okay, so you make sure that the scorers know what's going on here, right? So the ATC is going to start high, it's going to come down and hit this point right there where the quantity crosses with that MC crosses the MR to give us our quantity, where it goes up, hits the demand curve, and after it hits the demand curve and it's adjacent there, boom, we go on a downward slope and we hit the marginal cost curve, and after we hit the marginal cost curve, we go up. Okay, and that's what it should look like. Keep in mind that it has to show the long run average total cost curve, all right? And a lot of times when you're going through micro, they're not really calling this the long run average total cost curve, but it is the long run average total cost curve in this particular case here, because we are in long run right now, okay? We're not in the short run. We're not making a profit or a loss here, so don't get confused by that. B asks us, on your graph in part A, label the output at which total revenue is maximized, QR. That's this right here. Boom. QR. Okay, right there at that point where marginal revenue is 0. And then the 3C says, do firms in this market experience economies of scale, diseconomies of scale, or neither in long run equilibrium? Explain. Okay, and you can see here that the ATC is downward sloping at this quantity, all right, where this firm is producing. So as we produce more, we could see our costs would go down. Okay, keeping that in mind, all right, they're asking us, are we experiencing economies of scale? So the answer would be yes there. So for 3C, yes. The average total cost curve is downward sloping at the quantity being produced. Okay? And keep in mind, that's the long run average total cost curve there. All right, and that's question 2016 number 3.